My next discussion has to do with the city of Detroit, the largest bankrupt city in American history, a catastrophe of unspeakable dimensions. In the 1960s and 70s, it was the picture city of modern capitalism, the automobile center, the place to which American presidents brought foreign visitors to see how capitalism worked. 3 huge automobile companies, huge job stories, good pay won by the United Auto Workers, then arguably the biggest and most powerful union, or certainly one of them, here in the United States. A city that had managed not only to attract, but to provide decent jobs to African Americans when that had been a rarity in American history. Population just shy of 2 million people. And here we are, 40, 50 years later, what have we got? A city that is one of the poorest in the United States. A city that drove out of itself more than half its population. Today, the population of Detroit is under 700,000 people, down from nearly 2 million. Those people left because there was no work. And there was no work because Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors decided they could make more profits, that's it, by moving somewhere else, where they could pay workers much less. First to the American South, and then to Canada and Mexico, and now to China and India, leaving behind a city of disaster, high murder rates, high abandoned housing rates. 40, 50 years, during which the mayors and the governors and the presidents, Republicans and Democrats alike, stood there looking at this long-term decay and doing nothing to stop it, let alone to reverse it, until finally total bankruptcy and a devastated city. That's the old story. In the last few years, there's been a lot of publicity speaking about Detroit's renaissance, Detroit's coming back. And I want to talk to you about that. There's something to it. There are buildings going up in the business district, in the Midtown area, restaurants, office towers. Something is going on. A great deal of it has to do with a man named Dan Gilbert. He's the owner-operator of Quicken Loans. He owns the basketball team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. He owns over 90 buildings in the business district. He is bringing it back. And so there is a recovery. But it is like the recovery of the American economy since 2008. It's a recovery for the few. Let me remind you, 60% of the children of Detroit today continue to live in poverty. 40% of residents live below the official poverty line. So what is Detroit becoming? It's continuing to be an emblem of the United States. From the 1970s to 2010, it was an emblem of decline and decay. Now it is a different emblem. It's an emblem of the United States' reconstitution as a place in which there are glitzy, comfortable, wealthy enclaves, they're called in other parts of the world. Little protected areas, and I mean protected by how the roads run, how the police are deployed, where the building codes go, a glitzy center and a vast, impoverished hinterland. That's what Detroit is becoming. That's what the recovery of Detroit is. It's being reorganized into a rich, comfortable, glitzy center and a vast sea of impoverished, excluded others. And it isn't just Detroit, for which that is the story that we tell.